G'day, I'm Paul, and I'm cold. And there is a new MG3 in town. In fact, it is a brand new MG, brand new platform, plus it is now available with a hybrid. So this used to be Australia's cheapest car. It kind of tussled it out with the Kia Picanto, but it has stepped up massively in terms of price, but also space and features and all that sort of stuff. This competes with stuff like the Mazda 2, Toyota Yaris, Suzuki Swift. It's that size of vehicle. This is priced now here in the top spec hybrid trim at just under $30,000, and that is plus on-road costs. It used to be drive-away pricing. But if that is too expensive, the entire range kicks off with the non-hybrid from just under 24 grand. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And are you looking for a small car? If so, have you heard of Help Me CarExpert? All you need to do is go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, or scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you to the CarExpert website. It's not just me or Sean doing the video stuff. We're like a big company, 60 full-time employees, and on our website you're going to find news, reviews, and also our car chooser tool. If you're unsure which car you want, all you do is enter in all of your requirements. It'll spit out a stack of options. You can read the reviews, watch the videos, and then we can even put you in touch with one of our friendly dealers. Now let's talk about the exterior. In terms of the dimension changes, this is significantly bigger now. So 60mm longer, 50mm just in the wheelbase alone, which should mean more room in the second row. But get this, the width has increased by 70mm. That is huge. Around 40mm of that is an increase in rear wheel track as well. So should actually mean that this handles nicely too. It's got a much sort of broader planting on the road there. And with the hybrid drivetrain, it's got a fair bit of kick now as well. Plus, in addition to that, it is also slightly heavier too. So I'll be interested to see how it drives and how it handles. We'll get to that in a second. But just on the design front, this has become a whole lot sharper in terms of its design as well. So big MG logo up the front there. You've got this sort of carbon fiber-esque finish down the bottom there. LED headlights here on the top spec with projector LED lights. Around the side here, nice sort of inoffensive wheel design with a machined finish on the outside, piano black on the inside. 16-inch wheels are standard across the range there. Got an indicator built into the wing mirror here with a 360 camera as well, so a decent sort of equipment there on the top spec. Sunroof here as well. Come around to the back. Oh, by the way, disc brakes as well, and come around to the back with me. Now around the back, partial LED tail lights, MG3 badging there, and then if you go for the hybrid, it comes with the Hybrid Plus badge there as well, and then a big MG logo there too. So let me know what you reckon about the design in the comments section below. This has become bigger, but it's not enormous or gargantuan like a lot of SUVs have become. So let me know in the comments section, do you like the new design? What do you think about the pricing? It's a big step up, but do you think it is too much? I'm keen for your feedback. Let me know down there. So we are inside the MG3. This is what the key looks like. So you have lock, boot, unlock, and then the MG logo. It's a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket, and then you've got a start button just under there. Look, in terms of the design, this is a big step forward. You've got tech sort of very central to the cabin. You've got tiered colors here as well. Really is quite nicely presented. A little bit of piano black there, but it's sort of not the end of the world. The hybrid version gets this sort of E-shifter here, so it's a slightly different layout depending on which grade you go for in terms of the engine offering. Flat bottom steering wheel as well, so it's quite a sporty arrangement. In terms of the materials, this stuff here is soft, and then soft on the door as well, but you will notice still some scratchy plastic sort of around the cabin a little bit. How soft is it all? Well, we've got our durometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality, what is it like? A little loose there in the center. That all feels okay. This is what the door slam sounds like. Now let's talk infotainment. So 10.25-inch display, it's a whopper. You've got inbuilt satellite navigation. You've also got AM, FM, DAB digital radio, and a 6-speaker sound system. Sound system is okay, nothing sort of too crazy. In terms of smartphone mirroring, you have both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The good news here is that the screen is very sharp on Apple CarPlay. Crack that open. And very nice and quick as well. The bad news is that both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both wired. There is no wireless, which is a little bit disappointing. And this is what Android Auto looks like So another one that's very nice and sharp and easy to use, but also wired as well. Now there is another cool feature as well. So you're able to connect the car to a smartphone app that allows you to control the vehicle remotely and do other sort of cool things. So I'll show you how that works now as well. So once the car's paired, the app is actually pretty good. You open it up and you have the option of doing some interesting things like geofencing. So you can basically set alerts when the car drives in or out a certain radius. Which is a cool feature. It's kind of like a sort of virtual car alarm. Then you have full remote control access to the car as well, so you can check the vehicle's status. And this does everything pretty quickly compared to other car apps that are quite slow and not really great. This actually does a much better job in terms of getting all the data nice and fast. You can lock and unlock the car remotely, find the car as well, do horn and lights, route to the car, all the sort of standard stuff you've seen in other cars. You've also got the option to do air conditioning as well, so you can switch that on and off, the blowing controls as well. Obviously this isn't working because we're sitting inside the car, but a lot of control here, and yeah, I think it's just a really cool feature to have on an entry-level car like this. Now, let me show you the screen ahead of the driver as well. So it's a smaller display, but this basically takes care of a couple of things. It's kind of your head-up display and the driver display as well, because everything's sort of quite high up. It means you don't really need a head-up display to take advantage of being able to see this while you're driving. So I think it's a really cool setup, and again, just something for this price of vehicle that you don't really expect to see, which I think is really good news. So safety tech, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You have an auto-dimming rear vision mirror, blind spot monitor built into the wing mirror. You have a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant, radar cruise control. On the parking front, you have rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert, and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So quality isn't really amazing, sort of just a bit sort of lower quality, but you do get that vision around the vehicle, which I think is pretty good. I mean, a lot of cars don't have this type of thing regardless. So yeah, you can see there it's a bit hard to see what is going on the suitcase. There's a sort of 3D view as well, to give you a bit of a vibe of what you're able to see. And this is what the horn sounds like. Now moving on to your practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. So you have a USB-A and a USB-C port down here with a 12 volt outlet. You've got a USB-A port up the top here for connecting dash cameras, which is good news. On the storage front, you can move your cup holder around as well, depending on the size of cup that you're using, which is great news. So you can see that sort of slides into there, but then you can move it over to sort of clamp that cup in. Or the bottle in this case. Bottle fits inside the door as well. Let's see if our big bottle fits inside the door. Yes, it does. Nice, very nice. Other storage, so you have a center console here that's pretty reasonably sized and a little coin tray up the top. More storage down the bottom here, although no wireless phone charging. And then you have a decently sized glove box as well, plus a sunglasses holder. Now, comfort, you have single zone automatic climate control. Your seats are manually adjustable, but I like the layout. So you've got sort of this faux leather stuff on the side and then like a cloth material in the center. So they're nice and comfy to sit in. So the steering only offers tilt adjustment, which is kind of weird. No reach adjustment on that. On our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. Now, second row, knee room, pretty tight, but you've got to remember this is on a longer wheelbase now, and it is significantly more room than the previous gen, and also compared to something like a Mazda 2 or a Swift, this is actually pretty reasonable. My seat is quite far back as well. Tow room is great, headroom is reasonable. Matte pockets here, you've got air vents plus a USB-A charger, and then a little bit of storage down the bottom there. No center armrest, and also no 60/40 split fold on these seats. It just folds down in one hit. You do, though, get ISOFIX points on the outboard seats and 3 top tether points as well. Now our window test, so it's auto up and down. Does it go all the way down? Yes, it does. Great news. And then more of that scratchy plastic over here as well. So cargo space, what is it like? So given the vehicle has actually grown, it means that you're getting a reasonable amount of cargo space for a car this size. So under the cargo floor, you're going to find your battery and a tyre repair kit. So no full-size spare tyre here, unfortunately. You've got enough room here, just under 300 litres for laptop bag and suitcase in there as well. But if you do want to expand the space, you can drop your second row out of the way, and that increases the space to a little under 1,000 litres, but it's not exactly the most practical load floor, given that it sort of sits a little bit upright there, but you know, it is what it is. So we've just hit the road in the MG3. Now, this is quite an interesting drivetrain because I haven't really driven a small MG like this with a hybrid drivetrain. We've driven the MG4, which is fully electric, but MG3 has always just been petrol powered, nothing sort of too fancy. So it is a big step forward in terms of the offering. So how does it actually work? So it's a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, and that alone makes 75 kilowatts of power and a little under 130 Newton meters of torque. But with the hybrid, it's mated to an electric motor that helps increase combined power output to 155 kilowatts. So it's a big old chunk of power for a vehicle this size, given it only weighs around 1,300 kilos. It's about 100 kilos more for the hybrid over the standard petrol. And I am just going to switch off some of this annoying safety stuff that is mandated but useless. So we'll turn that off. Lane departure assist, will turn that off as well. Lane changing assist will turn that off as well, and the fatigue monitoring will turn that off as well, because it'll just end up beeping and annoying us while we're driving. Okay, now that is all mated as well to a 3-speed automatic transmission. Now, a bit of a funny transmission because 3 speeds just seems a bit weird, and it is weird in theory, and it's also weird in practice, because there are times where you get on the throttle and it just doesn't really know what it's doing. So we'll explore that shortly, but they're your high-level stats. Now, that all results in a claimed combined fuel economy of a little over 4 litres per 100 Ks. That is remarkably good when you think about it. We're averaging 5 litres per 100 Ks, so pretty close to that claimed figure with a good chunk of highway driving there as well. So I'm quite sort of happy with that. Only caveat to all of that is that this requires 95 RON premium unleaded fuel, whereas the entry level just will run on 91. And then the hybrid system here uses a 1.8 kilowatt hour battery. So only a very small battery. You do actually get a display here that shows you the battery capacity, and then it charges each time you slow down. You can actually also change the amount of regen you get here on the infotainment screen. So when it's on high, I can roll out of the throttle and you can see our power display there. That's plumbing energy back into the battery. It actually regens quite strongly, so it doesn't quite give you the single pedal driving because it won't come to a full stop, but it gives you enough sort of regen to slow the vehicle down, which I think is really good. So now let's talk about this transmission. So when you punch it, it's fairly quick and instant, but then there's a delay while the transmission starts to shift through its gears. And it becomes really noticeable when you start getting up it and having a bit of fun with it, because MG is sort of marketing this as a city runabout, but also a fun car to drive. So when you do try and sort of have that fun with it, it does tend to struggle a bit. So I'll show you what I mean when we go for a bit of a spirited drive, but most of the time it is responsive. It's sort of quick and eager to respond, but there are sort of slight bits of lag there while it tries to figure out what it's doing. Now, what is it like on the sine waves? We're going to bump the speed up to 130 Ks an hour, which is maximum speed limit here in Australia. Yeah, look, the body control isn't amazing, but in saying that, it's actually not that bad. The ride quality is really good. They've done such a good job here with just ironing it all out. Uses a torsion bar suspension setup at the rear, so it's a pretty primitive and basic suspension setup, but it does actually feel quite nice in and around the city, even on cobblestones and speed humps and that kind of stuff. It doesn't feel overly firm. It is just a nice, supple ride that gives you confidence in what the car's doing. Same goes with the steering feel. It's not super heavy, not super light, but it just makes you feel like you're doing something and engaging with the car. Now, what's it like on a bumpy road? Well, we've got our incredibly bad road here. Do this at 90 Ks an hour. It just gives us an idea of what the suspension is like if you head to the country. It is doing a really good job. That's the thing, the ride is slightly on the firmer side, but it's not overly firm. It's actually quite comfortable. Even on these condensed sine waves here, quite sort of nice and robust as well. This feels like a high quality car. It doesn't feel like something that's just been slapped together. You can see they've put a lot of effort into this platform and this chassis. So yeah, even on choppy stuff like that, it's doing really well. Now let's go for a sportier drive. We've got Eco, Normal and Sport modes. Now most people aren't going to be driving their car like this, but we test all of our cars here at the track back to back in the same way. Let's see what it feels like. So right there you can feel that gearbox having to dive back through the gears. Now it is really wet out there at the moment, so let's see how we go. It is colossally quick once it all comes online. Like, it is properly quick. Like right now when it's giving us all of its torque, you can see down there, it is hauling, absolutely hauling. Problem is though, there is very little control over that. So when I say that, I mean that it will give me heaps and heaps sometimes, and then other times, like right now when I'm standing on the throttle, nothing is really happening. And then once we run out of battery, which you'll see here on the back straight, it really then just struggles to deliver any sort of meaningful torque output, because you're just relying on the internal combustion engine because the hybrid system is out of battery. So yeah, look, it is fun and engaging to drive, but I think that it just needs a little bit of work. This, like right now, I'm flat to the board and it's barely moving at all. Like it's just sort of moving along quite slowly. So yeah, I think that there's a mixture here of a hybrid system that needs better tuning and a transmission that probably isn't up to the task of delivering consistent sporty driving. It can give you short bursts of lots of torque, which is fun and sort of exciting in brief stints. But if you do need it repeatable, it can't deliver that. So yeah, I think there's probably just a little bit of work there to be done. It's definitely salvageable. It just needs a little bit of tuning there, and I think this would actually be quite an entertaining little hot hatch to drive. Now, let's talk about visibility. What's it like? So I can see clearly down the front there. Wing mirrors are nice and big, and visibility out the back is pretty good as well. You've got a 360 camera as well, so it is sort of pretty straightforward and easy to park in and around the city. Now, on-road noise, the cabin sound deadening isn't great, so on coarse chip surfaces you will notice a fair bit of noise coming into the cabin. It's not sort of outrageous, but it is noticeable. This is how it went when we put it up against our calibrated sound meter. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now it's time to test our semi-autonomous driving systems. So I'm going to set the cruise at 70 k's an hour, which is the speed we typically test this stuff at, and we'll see how well it'll hold the vehicle within the lanes on the 3 outer lanes. So there's 70 k's an hour. Steering wheel is showing that it's holding us now. So that's doing a decent job here in this lane. It's probably a tiny bit over to the left there, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, let's change over to the next lane. Wait for that steering wheel to go blue. Okay, there it is. Yeah, it's kind of just going over that line. Let's give it one more shot up here. We'll see what this feels like. Wait for that to go blue. That doesn't seem to be interested in going blue. I'll go back to this other lane, see if it's actually... Okay, so it's letting us do it in this lane, but even then it is veering over to the left there. It's not really very confidently staying in the centre. Try it one more time over in this next lane. We'll see if it's actually interested in holding us there. Okay, so it's blue now. Let go of the wheel. No, it does cross the line and then it comes back, but by that point you would have taken over anyway. And look, to be honest, these systems, they're designed for the driver to always have their hands on the wheel. I mean, that is the legal requirement, but I sort of let go a little bit here just so we can see how willing it is to do that, and it's just not very willing at all. So it tells me if you're driving this out on a main road, it is going to struggle to sit within its lane confidently, which is what you want from a system like this. So I think it probably just needs a little bit of tuning work. Okay, let's do a little bit of performance testing. So it is wet out there at the moment, and this thing is kind of wild when you stand on the throttle off the line. So I'm going to turn off stability control just so we can let the wheels slip, and we're going to go all the way through to 120 k's an hour to see what it's like. So here we go. Hold on. All right, it is all happening. There's 100. Yeah, that gearbox is really weird, and there's 120. It just sort of, it grabs a gear and then it sort of waits and waits, and then it starts going, and then it grabs the next gear. It seems like a bit of a weird setup. So 0 to 100, 8.78 seconds. That was with wheel slip off the line. I might try going again in that direction, just a little more gingerly, but 80 to 120, 6.21. That is bloody quick as well. So quite impressed with that. So let me turn around. I'll try doing a 0 to 100 going back that way with a little less enthusiasm on the throttle, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Here we go. A little more ginger, I'll feed it in. A little bit of wheel slip there, but now it's back to full throttle. There's that gear shift again. And there's 120. Yeah, didn't love that. And anyway, the battery's sort of empty now as well. So once it does that, which didn't take very long, it completely loses the enthusiasm it had to accelerate hard. So yeah, that time around 0 to 100 was 10.86 and 80 to 120 was 10.84. So it just shows you that when the battery runs low and it's not interested in playing ball anymore, it has to rely just on the internal combustion engine. It really struggles to get up and move. So that's right, first run was good, very quick for a car like this, so that was impressive. Let's go back now and do a stop from 100 k's an hour. Okay, here we go. Oh, it is wet out there, so that felt like a very long stop. So 100 to 0, 4.21 seconds and 57.76 meters. That is a long stopping distance. It was wet out there, granted, so that obviously doesn't help, and I can't really change that. I would like to try this again when it's dry. So if we get an MG3 back in just with the petrol drivetrain, I'll give this another crack and we'll compare the two to see exactly how they went. Now, it is time to see how quick this will go in reverse. So I'll line up in the center of the road here, and let's see what happens. Here we go. Oh, it is hauling. All right, 60 k's an hour in reverse. Wow. That is fast. That is really fast. I like that. Okay, so the new MG3, what do we reckon? Look, in terms of the package itself, it's bigger, it's got tech, it's safer, everything about it is better than it was with the previous generation. What I don't love though is the price of this one, just under 30 grand. I think it's too expensive for what it is. The hybrid drivetrain just doesn't feel resolved enough. It's fine for sort of low speed maneuvers, but the second you try and do anything interesting with it, it really shows that they haven't really tuned it that well. So I'd save your money and go down the path of the standard petrol. You can actually get the petrol grade with similar features to what you're seeing here, just without the hybrid drivetrain. So it's going to save you money. You only need to fuel it with 91 RON, so it's going to be cheaper in terms of the fuel that you're putting in the vehicle. Obviously this is going to use less, but you have to pay more for it up front. And hopefully that is something they can fix here, because it has the guts of a great hybrid system. It is so fast and just so much fun when you switch everything off. But the second it runs out of battery, it becomes a slug. The 3-speed auto just doesn't really work that well either. So yeah, I think we're going to get another one of these in just with the petrol, just to see what that's like, and we'll report back then. Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Have you bought one of these? What are your thoughts on the hybrid? Are you enjoying it? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.